Question 4. Okay, a student investigates how current in and brightness of a filament lamp change when different numbers of batteries are connected to the lamp. The student results are shown in the table. Okay, you can see the number of batteries and the current. Explain what these results show about the changes in the filament as the current increases. Okay, so to explain what the results show about the changes in the filament as the current increases. Okay, so we're talking about a filament bulb. Okay, so we need to bear in mind a filament bulb, what happens when it gets hot. So the first thing you can see, the batteries, normally a battery is 1.5 volts, so you're looking at 1.5 volts, 3 volts, 4.5 volts. Okay, so the more batteries, the higher the current. That would get you a mark. Okay, but what you need to explain here to get the full marks is one battery causes 60 milliamps, but two batteries doesn't cause 120 milliamps like you would expect, and then 3 doesn't cause 180 milliamps. Okay, so there's something going on, and it's to do with what happens with the resistance in a filament bulb. So first thing, yeah, got the more batteries the higher the current, but the second thing you need to talk about is the fact that when you double the number of batteries, you don't double the current, because it gets harder for the current to flow. So as more batteries are added, the current doesn't go up as much. As expected. This is because, so here we're going into the explain. So this is because as the wire heats up, the resistance increases. So we're given an explanation there as to what's happening. Okay. Question B. You can see as a student decides to use a light dependent resistor to get a measure of the change in the brightness of the lamp as the number of batteries is varied. The student uses an arrangement as shown. Okay, so you've got the lamp, you've got the wires going in, and then you've got the LDR. Again, that's connected to a device which is measuring the resistance. So you've got the results. Now the key thing here I've underlined is state what the resistance readings show about the properties of an LDR. Okay, so it's not talking about the number of batteries here, we're talking about the brightness of the lamp. So an LDR is a light dependent resistor. Okay, so that means as the light goes up, the resistance drops. So what does it show about the properties of an LDR? As the brightness of the bulb increases, the resistance of the LDR drops. Okay, so now the student thinks that the results do not give a good indication of the change in brightness of the lamp. Explain one way that the student could improve the experiment with the LDR to give a better indication of the change in brightness of the lamp. Okay, so this is 3 marks. So to explain one way. So in the photograph shown of the setup, you can see the lamp, the LDR, but it does seem to be in a lit room. Okay, so one of the things that there's no mention of is background light. So it'd be a good idea to ensure the experiment is carried out in a dark area to remove background light. Okay, so as I said, carried out in the dark, remove background light. What's that going to do to improve the experiment? It should give a higher range of readings. So I'm talking about the first experiment here. You got one lamp, you got a resistance of 600. If that's not very bright, then if it was in a darkened room, you'd expect that reading to be slightly higher. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about a range of readings. Question C. Okay, so this question was generally not very well answered. Okay, now the key thing here, we've got to describe. It says how the student could develop the investigation by using an electrical circuit to get a measure of the temperature just above the surface of the lamp. So the key thing here is the electrical circuit to get a measure of the temperature. Okay, electrical circuit to get a measure of the temperature. So that is using some sort of circuit which has got a sensor in it which is going to detect temperature, and that is going to require the use of a thermistor. A thermistor could be used if placed near the lamp. It would change the temperature of the thermistor. This would reduce the resistance of the thermistor. Okay, so for extra effect you could also add about 3 electrons, but again that wouldn't be necessary to get all the marks for this question.